Hi everyone, it's Kelly here, and welcome if this is your first time on my channel. Welcome back if you've been before. Lovely to have you either way. On this channel we talk books, and today I am sharing with you my January reading wrap up. Not too many books to talk about today, unfortunately. So I only read 4 books in January, which is unusual for me. So normally in January it's a big reading month for me, but I guess I just had a lot going on, so I didn't quite get there. That's okay though. The 4 books that I read were a little bit of a mixed bag, but I read some pretty decent books as well as some books that I didn't love as much as I would have hoped. So the first book that I read was The Solitude of Prime Numbers by Paulo Giordano. This is a book I was reading for my Reading Around the World book club challenge, and this is a book from Italy. It's translated from the Italian. Let me just get the name of the translator for you, if I can find it. Shaun Whiteside. So this is a book about 2 sort of I would say like outsider type characters who sort of don't fit in. They start off, the beginning of the book, they're children. We spend a lot of time with them in their teenage years, and then they go into adulthood, and we sort of kind of continue to follow their story. The opening scenes of this book are awful. So basically, yeah, it gets off to a shaky start, and by describing the childhood trauma of the 2 protagonists that sort of leads to them being the way that they are, and, you know, having the issues that they have. It did get better, but I found that one of the protagonists, Alice, was unbearably irritating, and the other protagonist, Matea, was not significantly better, to be honest. So yeah, I really struggled to love this book. I ended up giving it 3 stars. It wasn't the worst book I've ever read, but it wasn't my favorite, and I won't be revisiting this one. So yeah, it was okay, but yeah, not my fave. The second book that I read was much better. It's called She and Her Cat by Makoto Shinkai and Naruki Nagakawa, translated by Ginny Tapley Takemori, who was the translator of Convenience Store Woman, according to the cover of the book, which is a super cute cover. It's also cute on the back as well. So this is a book all about cats and their people, and it's really sweet, exploring the relationships between several women and their cats, and the cats kind of end up being connected in the outside, so they kind of know each other, and it's told in alternating narrations between the humans and the cats. It's super cute. And it's heartwarming. So it was really nice to read after the book that was really sad and depressing. So this was great, a really good palate cleanser. I gave this 4 stars. It was lovely. Then I read Babel by R.F. Kuang. I'm a little bit late to the party on this one. Okay, it was so long. It was such a long book. I didn't care about the characters. The political themes were overstated. The footnotes were really obtrusive at times, they were really in your face. There were bits that I really liked about this. So that, you know, there was a massive focus on translation in the time of colonial Britain, at the height of its power, and that bit was really interesting. So the sort of the first half of the book, I had high hopes at the beginning because it started off really interesting, and the bits that I liked about this book were where it was talking about translation. Then about halfway through the book, the tone completely changes, and all of those kind of more interesting academic elements go out the window, and it's all just drama and tension. And I didn't like that at all. And because the author hadn't given me anything to care about these characters, I didn't care. I didn't care when people died. I didn't care when people did wacky things that seemed really outside of their character. Like, it was just, yeah, really, really so for me. So I've given it 2.5 stars. And what I've written in my journal for this book is, let me just quote it to you. It's inspired me to stop buying popular books in physical form. So yeah, like, to me, this was so hyped up and so many people loved it. And I think that gave me a sort of like high hopes for this book, and it was really just so. It had so much potential, but it just didn't quite get there for me, unfortunately. Right, the last book that I read in January was a short one. This is Small Things Like These by Claire Keegan. I gave this 4 stars. So Bill is the main character of this book. He is Irish, and he owns a it's coal and wood for fire. So like he sort of, that's his business, is distributing those things. And it's set in the time of there being like a bit of an economic situation. So like a lot of people are losing their jobs. A lot of people are doing it really tough. His business is still going okay because, you know, obviously people still need, you know, those things to stay warm in their houses. So yeah, he's doing okay, while others around him are struggling. And he has several daughters, and he's come from, his mum was a single mum, and in Ireland at the time, this was like, that was a big taboo, and for the most part, a lot of people ended up in care with the Catholic Church, and those in a situation like, which was the Magdalene laundries, which I actually didn't know that this book was about the Magdalene laundries. If I had, I probably would have like pounced on it sooner, because I'm really, really interested in that part of Irish history, and world history. Because I don't think it was just in Ireland, but like in Ireland, it was definitely a thing. So yeah, like that didn't happen to his mum. His mum was taken in by her employer, who was a Protestant woman, who kind of took care of her. Her family like rejected her, and this woman took care of her. It was sort of like a grandmother figure to Bill while he was growing up. So now he's married and he's got 3 daughters, I think it is. And he's sort of, but this book is very reflective. So it's kind of like just thinking about life and trying to do the right thing by your community, and also what feels right to you in your heart. So I think for me, there was a slight disconnect because the main character was a man. And so the themes in this are very like heavily, you know, feminist, I guess you could say, or like just talking about, you know, how women struggled in these circumstances and in these times. So yeah, the fact that the main character was a man was a little bit that sort of was a bit disconnected for me, but it didn't, the writing was beautiful, and you know, the character of Bill is very likable. So yeah, like it wasn't so disconnecting that it took me out of enjoying the book, but yeah, I think it was brilliant. So yeah, that's why I haven't given it 5 stars. Otherwise I probably would have, but like this is a solid 4. And I think it would also be a really good book to read when it's cold, because it's set in the winter time and it's snowing, and like they talk about how cold it is quite a lot. So like it would be a good book to read then. So right now I've read it in January in Australia, where it's summer, the middle of summer. So I think this would be, when I do reread this, because I intend to, I will probably pick it up in the winter time, even though it doesn't snow in Sydney. Maybe I'll go to the snow, and if I go to the snow, I will take this book with me, because it was definitely one that I think I would enjoy reading when it's really, really cold. All right, so that is my January, a very short one today. Let me pick all of these up for you. So only 4 books this month, and I'm hoping that February is going to be not too bad. Usually February is a difficult month for me because I'm back at work, and things get a little bit hectic real quick. So I may not, there have been months where I've read like one book in February. So we'll see how February goes, but I have a good feeling. I've got a couple of audiobooks lined up from my library that will be coming in, so hopefully I'll be able to get to all of those and be listening while I'm doing stuff for work and commuting as well. So yeah, hopefully I'll be able to kind of keep my pace up a little bit and at least equal this, if not exceed it, in February. All right, thanks guys, thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.